Okay, here we go. We're going to start sewing. We've got our three pieces. We've got our top piece, our middle piece, and we've got our fur band. So the first step is to take your middle piece, put right sides together, and put a 1/4 inch seam in those two pieces. In that piece, I should say. Okay, so I'm just going to sew right across that. Okay. Okay, next step. Excuse me. With your right side, with your pattern facing up, open up your middle piece and lay it so that your seam is on the bottom of the circle. Okay? And then pin it. And then line up your edges. Okay, this is what we figured out when we put all of our paper together, so this should be a perfect fit all the way around. So you want to open your seam up, pin on one side of that, and then a pin on the other side, and that will hold it open as you sew. And then continue to pin. Okay, see how I don't have exactly the right amount? So I didn't line it up correctly. So if you do have a little bit of a difference between those two, just go back along your pins and find out where you didn't make the right pin. Usually you're going to find a place where you gave it too much or you pulled too tight on one edge or the other, and then you try and locate that and smooth out your seam and find out where because some of these are on a bias, and if they're on the bias, that means that fabric has a tendency to stretch. So you don't want to stretch your fabric. Before you sew now, you want to make sure that you lined up correctly. Here is your open seam, and your teddy bears are all heads up. So you only have to worry about that if you have a pattern. So now we're going to sew this. All the way around. I'm going to cut my opening seams off, my opening threads off. Okay, we are done with that. Okay, so if you want your beret to lay flat when you turn it inside out, what you want to do is make some clips. So just take your scissors and don't get any of your, about an inch apart is fine. Just make a few clips on here so that it will lay flat when you turn it inside out. Just all the way around, about an inch apart. Okay. Alright, so now we've got our 13 inches of fur, and we are going to fold it in half, and we're going to tuck that fur in a little bit, because we don't want that fur to be, we want that seam to be covered nicely with that fur. So if you just tuck it in, it tends to give you a nice seam on the other side. Now this would be the same situation if I was using fabric. I would be sewing my strip of fabric together. So same thing, 1/4 inch seam. Okay. Okay, so now we've got our headband, which is going to be folded in half, and we are going to attach this to the bottom of our beret. The easiest way to sew this that I've found is to leave your beret like this, insert your fur, and line up your seams. Okay, so we want to line up our seam line with the seam line inside the beret. So we're going to open up our outside seam and line it up with that inside seam. So we're just going to put a pin in it. Okay, so let's just tuck that in and start pinning. Same thing with this, you want to push the fur down away from, where you're pinning. Okay, push the fur in and pin. Okay, so the same thing, you have a bias here, so you don't want to stretch your material to the point where nothing's going to fit together. So it might help you if you just place a few pins all the way around to get a good spacing between the whole headband and the middle band of the beret, just to make sure you're not getting out of whack. And that will help you with your placement too, so you don't stretch fabric that you shouldn't be stretching. this. Okay, if you cut your pattern correctly and you lined everything up, it should just fit perfect in there. If it doesn't, you can ease in the fur or ease in the beret, but if you did the calculations correctly, everything should just line right up and everything should fit just perfect. Okay, so there we go. We've got the right sides of the fur against the right sides of the fabric. We've got our seam in our fur lined up with the seam in the inner circle. So now all I'm going to do now is just sew this, and I'm going to sew it fur side up. I hope I have enough thread. I might not make it, but we'll see. So if your fur starts popping out, just push it back in and just keep sewing. Okay, swing everything around. Same thing, push that fur back in. Excuse me, make sure that your bottom is being sewed correctly. So you don't want to tangle the bottom of your beret either. So every once in a while you can just pick it up and look to make sure everything is being sewn correctly, so that you're not catching what you shouldn't be catching. We made it. Okay. Let's trim our threads. Okay, and you want to look and make sure you didn't catch anything on the inner beret that you shouldn't have caught. If you have a little pucker here and there, it's not really bad because it's going to be covered by the fur anyway. But it looks pretty good. You don't have to trim any of these because we're just going to take the fur and we're going to, if this was fabric, I would say go ahead and sew a piece of elastic from here to here by stretching it so you can get that elastic strap tight. But on this thing, we're just going to turn our fur in, and we're going to whip stitch the fur by pushing all of this beret to the bottom. Put this cover that fur right where the sew line is, and we're going to whip stitch it. We're going to do the same thing we did on the sleeves of the jackets that we made, and that's going to be the last step on your beret. So let's see how it looks on the doll. I'm just going to put this in and get Kyla. Okay, so here's Kyla, and here is her new hat. I'm going to find that seam there to put it on her. Okay, got her hair in the way. So there is Kyla's new beret. That's that. And you might want to take a brush and brush out the fur once you get it sewed down where you want it. And that is that's all there is to making a beret. That's how simple it is. Okay, so I'll talk to you later. All right, bye.